Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of New Music Weekly, the show where I give you guys the top 5 prog news headlines for the week, introduce you guys to some new prog singles, and give you updates on what's happening here on the channel on Nathan on Shuffle. It's February 23rd, 2024, and I've got a good list of news items for you guys here today. Hopefully you enjoy the show today. Hopefully you guys are doing well out there, and without further ado, let's get into the news items for the week. So, item number 1, the new releases for the week. I see a couple that have piqued my interest somewhat. The first being North Sea Echoes and the album Really Good Terrible Things. This is from the Fates Warning duo of Jim Matheos and Ray Alder. This is a new project, maybe a bit more laid back and ambient sounding than their more prog metal approach in Fates Warning. But if you're into that, into more cerebral, kind of laid back music, then this is something for you. I have one of the tracks from their new album in my prog singles list that we'll get to in a little bit of time. But definitely for fans of Fates Warning who want a more like laid back rock approach, I think it's definitely worth checking out. And then Jane Getter Premonition, the album Division World. I have Jane Getter on the radar because the Jane Getter Premonition is going to be on Cruise to the Edge, which I'm going to in short time here. So I'm excited to see what this group has developed. It seems like this is a more song-oriented work than previous works. Jane Getter, from what I know, is like a fabulous musician. She's, plays guitar expertly well and also sings and has some really notable members in her band. Keyboardist Adam Holzman, guitarist Alex Skolnick, bassist and singer Paul Frazier, and drummer Gene Lake are all featured on here, as well as Randy McStein guesting on vocals. So just cool rock music, maybe a little bit of jazzy undertones, and just a really good quality artist there to cover and to point out. So those are the albums that were on my radar, but let me know in the comments other albums or things that came out that I may have missed in my little rundown there. So item number 2, something I thought really interesting, kind of blending the two worlds of the classic prog and the newer prog genre. Jethro Tull's Ian Anderson is apparently going to guest on the upcoming Opeth album. This was from an interview, I believe, speaking on a radio show on an Italian station. Ian Anderson talked about the fact that he plays on other people's records when they're interesting to him, and he just did so last week. He says, I played on 3 or 4 tracks from a prog metal band called Opeth. They're Swedish. So it seems like this has gotten out there and people are excited about this prospect of Ian Anderson being featured on the new Opeth album. There's no official word from the Opeth camp about it or about their upcoming album. It seems they've been hard at work on this album since they wrapped their previous tour that celebrated their 30th anniversary in Mexico in February last year, but there hasn't been many details coming out about it. So it should be interesting to see what a future Opeth record could bring and how that Ian Anderson flute work could add to the record. It could be similar to like the Heritage album that they put out, which had that kind of flute style vibe as well. So we'll see what the future holds for a very interesting band. Also on the Jethro Tull news front, they announced their departure of guitarist Joe Parrish, who's leaving the band at the end of the month to concentrate on his own prog band, Albion, who recently released their album Lake Songs of Ilbid, which I've been listening to and I think is rather fantastic. I'm going to include a track from Lake Songs of Ilbid in my prog singles list just for you guys to be able to check out and enjoy. But he's going to be replaced by Jack Clark, who's someone that fans should recognize from previous stints playing keyboards, bass, and even second guitar with the band on live dates. So it looks like they're full steam ahead with a new member, but unfortunately they're saying goodbye to Joe Parrish, who's been working with the band for the last couple Tull albums. And we'll see what the future brings for Jethro Tull. It seems like they're still continuing to do live shows and continuing to work on new albums. So interesting, Jethro Tull is really still active all these years into their career. It's really remarkable, and we'll see what it brings in their future. So seems like there's a lot of touring happening still, and so it should be cool to see that. So next I saw Yes is releasing a new limited version of Mirror to the Sky, their album from last year that was released in May. This is a new limited 2 CD Blu-ray Digipack edition that's going to be released on April 5th. Includes the full album plus the Blu-ray, including Dolby Atmos, 5.1 surround sound, and instrumental mixes of the album, and is available now to pre-order. And they've released a lyric video of Mirror to the Sky, the title track, an edited version, of course, because it's somewhat of an epic length track. But you could check that out. That will also be in the Prog singles list. If you check out the description, you can check those. And also they've discussed a bit about their upcoming tour, the Classic Tales of Yes Tour 2024, that'll include a lot of iconic tracks from their catalog. It's going to feature a celebration of the 50th anniversary of Tales from Topographic Oceans, as well as music from their current album, Mirror to the Sky. So the band seems pretty excited about these upcoming dates that they're doing in Europe, in the UK. Just continuing forward their European leg of their tour and seeing what they have in store. A lot of exciting news for Yes fans. I think that's cool stuff to bring up. And then I also wanted to bring up prog metal veterans Vanden Plas announce a new album and new single. My Icarian Flight is the name of the single, and the album, a little bit of a lengthy title, is called The Empyrean Equation of the Long Lost Things, scheduled to drop on April 19th. So it's been a hiatus of about 4 years from their previous album, and so this is their triumphant return back into the fold with a thrilling installment of various tracks showcasing their musical skill and narrative artistry. They're a prog metal band that can rock pretty heavily, but are really cool and kind of in that traditional prog metal vein of a lot of the acts that people associate with the genre, like Symphony X and Dream Theater and so forth. So it should be cool to see them coming into their own with a new album. It's going to be the introduction of their new keyboardist, Alessandro Del Vecchio, infusing a fresh vigor and creativity into their band's lineup. And so it should push their sound even further, and we'll see how that goes. And of course, that single, My Icarian Flight, will be on the singles list if you want to check it out in the description. And then finally, I see Steven Wilson gave a small update on a future studio album that may be coming. Once again, this was just kind of an aside that he mentioned on a podcast, the Gas Masks and Hand Grenades podcast, where he was doing an interview with himself and Tim Bonus about the new No Man big box set housekeeping box. But it seems like he was asked about the follow-up to the Harmony Codex, which was released last year. And he talked about that at the beginning of 2025, there might be a release of a new Steven Wilson album, which comes pretty soon off the heels of the Harmony Codex, which was just released last year. And it seems like it's going to be a conceptual album. And he said that it's just 2 20-minute long tracks. So that should be interesting to see what he explores in 2 epic length tracks of music. Should be a really fun experience, and to see where he goes. I really like the Harmony Codex. I feel like it was a little bit divisive. Some people just did not care for it at all. Some people really loved it. I'm on the camp of really loved it. I think it was a really cool artistic statement and brought together a lot of the elements from his sound over the past several years, including bits from his more pop-centric stuff of late, but also delving backwards into some of the more proggier material to create a really cool sonic masterwork of new songs and styles. So I really appreciate the Harmony Codex, and excited to see where he extends further. And if it's going to be 2 big 20-minute epics, that could portend that it's proggy in nature, but we'll see. He's never content to just sit in the same lane, so he's probably going to do something a bit different, and by doing so will probably make a lot of fans mad. So we'll see how it goes. That's just kind of the game at this point, but I'm here for it and always happy and excited to see where he goes next. So in my prog singles list, I've already teased pretty much most of the tracks that are going to be here. Vanden Plas, My Icarian Flight, is one of the tracks on the list from their upcoming album that I talked about. Gentle Giants, they have Memories of Old Days, which of course is from their Missing Piece album from 1977. It's coming out with a new Steven Wilson remix. So this is a track from that came out probably about a week ago, but I wanted to still make sure it got featured because I am a huge Gentle Giant nerd, and I think it sounds really excellent. This is one of their classic tracks that just sounds pristine and beautiful, and the Steven Wilson makes really even adds to it, and I think it's worth listening to. Yes's Mirror to the Sky, as I mentioned, they have a lyric video that's more of a single edit version of that track that I have linked. North Sea Echoes and their track Empty to showcase a little bit of their sound and what you could expect from their album that dropped today. And then Albion's Finding Avalon, which is a really cool new discovery for me. It's very folky. It's like this folk metal kind of style, but I really love it. It introduces some like Jethro Tull elements to the mix, but never leaves behind the energy and power of that kind of metal side to their sound. But if you listen to their full album, The Lake Songs of Ilbid, there's a lot of variety. There's tracks that are much more acoustic and lighter. I don't think the metal's too overdone in their in the songs that they come out with. I think they balance it really well with just some really cool, folky, progressive rock music, and it was really captivating experience listening, so I wanted to recommend that one as a little bit of an aside here towards the end. So those are the items, a little bit of a shorter rundown this week. I didn't see any bigger headlines than these, but let me know in the comments, of course, if I missed something that you think is worth pointing out. As for the channel, I felt like it was a really strong week for the channel. I was really excited. I put out a review this week of The Pineapple Thief. It leads to this. Somewhat of a mixed response. Some people are not a big fan of that record, which is totally fine. It's okay to have an opinion, especially one that's different from my own, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's really well made, has a great sonic quality to it, and is just enjoyable to listen to. So check out my review on that if you haven't yet, where I describe it in more depth and how I feel about it. And I also did a Rush ranking episode where I rank all of their studio albums. That just dropped yesterday. Really excited about it. A lot of great response already. Really grateful for you guys checking that video out. It took a lot of time and effort to put it together, listen through their whole catalog, really analyze. I really take it seriously when I do these rankings. I really analyze every single album and I order them in the way that I think fits. And I know it's not the same order as most people would put it in, but I think it's reasonable based on my own preferences and tastes. So hopefully you enjoyed that episode if you caught it already. And if you haven't, I would strongly encourage you to look at it, to seek it out and to look it up on the channel. Upcoming, I have the finale to our Rush month that we've been doing. Me and Jana are going to be listening to side 2 of Moving Pictures. We already listened to side 1 at the beginning of the month, so now we're closing it off by listening to side 2, which should be a lot of fun, especially for big Rush fans out there who like our Jana Reacts / Prog Song Sunday series. And then we're moving and migrating into Yes month, so that should be a lot of fun. Some Yes related content. I thought it worked well with the Cruise to the Edge that's coming up. You know, there's obviously some relation with Yes and Cruise to the Edge, so I thought that would make a lot of sense. So we should be reacting, me and Jana, to a pretty notable Yes epic in the not too distant future. I think you could probably get the clues from me talking about Cruise to the Edge, quite a bit of what we might cover in a future episode. So that should be a lot of fun, revisiting some of my Yes rankings and including Mirror to the Sky in where I would slot it amongst their albums. That'll be forthcoming. And I'm going to be doing a review of the new Big Train album, The Likes of Us, which I'm really excited to get into. One of my favorite albums that I've been listening to recently. It comes out next Friday, and I'm excited to give my rundown of it just a few days before it's released so I can get you guys hyped and excited for what's a really brilliant album that I'm just thrilled to be able to listen to and to talk about. So that's what's going on here on the channel, and hopefully you enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of fun to be able to talk to you guys, and I always enjoy doing this week to week. It's just more of a casual way to kind of check in with everybody, give you guys some of the news and items that I'm excited about in the prog music world, and hopefully you guys can share in that excitement in the comments or just in your own way. No pressure. Everyone can watch and interact the way they choose. So thank you guys so much for your support. It's been really wonderful, and I'm really excited about the future of the channel and being able to continue to do this. So thank you guys, and I'll hopefully catch you in future episodes. Bye, everybody.